instead of killing multiple birds with one stone, so they broke that stone into 1,000 different pieces and launched it out shotgun style. and and now we've got all these pieces being like, oh shit,
This
what
crime
did the
scene's an
stone
absolute
look
mess.
like? It's all over the place.
Welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, another normal episode, episode 8-1. Wait.
Sorry, he's new to numbers.
Yeah, it's been a while. Episode 181. I'm your host Ryan, here with your other host Hedge.
It's okay. Once we finish recording, we're going to go over his ABCs too.
If this is your first episode, it must be a hilarious experience. Housekeeping up top. You can listen to us everywhere. Visit us at Podcast Core. It's podcastcor.com for all of our info. Email us at podcastcore@gmail.com. Follow us on all the platforms. We appreciate it. It helps us with discoverability. And leave a like and comment wherever you listen the most. But word of mouth has gotten us this far. So tell a friend to resist corruption by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
Okay, and if we're talking about corruption, we're going to like that feels like a spoiler because there's one thing that corrupts no matter what you do, and that's living weapons. So I feel like we're talking about a living weapon today.
We are. We've stepped away from just pure Noxus content. So we stepped into our other bag, which we were real good at, is living weapons. We're talking about Zaahen today. Specifically, as the title states, Salvation or Silence. So this is from an author we've covered before, Issa Marie de Leon. And we wanted to do Zaahen because if you listen to our Nora episode, we're kind of just trying to grab a couple of champions we haven't got to talk about since they came out a while back. But if you remember from our Yunara episode, we weren't very impressed by the bio itself, but we promised that there's more content that will bolster those characters, right? That will fill those characters out. This is going to be another one of those situations with Zaahen. Is a very light touch in the bio, but there is more content we promise we're going to probably start digging into. Related to some motion comics that came out, some short cinematics that have overlapped with the Welcome to Noxus content.
And it should serve as a spoiler already for it, but this is going to be very similar to the Yunara bio where it's reading like a story where you already know pieces. So a lot of it might be a little bit disjointed from the way that we usually present our content. So we'll just go ahead and get this part out of the way, which is if you like this kind of story and content, go read the bio. Like there are definitely pieces as far as like with the dialogue and stuff that does have a story going on there, but it already has the assumption that you know things that have already happened at the point of the story. If you don't know those things, we try to fill in some of the gaps the best, but it's usually best to just go read the content. But we'll do our best. Like the character is super cool, so
and we'll get back. We'll get back. Yeah, like we said with the other content, we'll give you the pieces down the road on because the way they released Zaahen and Yunara was like a package thing, right? It wasn't a case where everything needed to be in the bio because that wasn't the cycle they were going through. They had plans for like the event that was going on at the time. Obviously, this continued Welcome to Noxus promo situation they're doing to keep it in the back of your mind. So they kind of worked it into all that multimedia. So it makes sense that it's not as well done. But let's just go ahead and try this. Story best told in 3 parts. We really had to stretch to make this one. We're kind of phoning it in a bit, but part 1, Rost, and Zaheen are having a battle of ideals at the top of a flattened mountain. And Zaheen is offering Roust an opportunity to be redeemed, right? Opportunity at redemption. And Roust laughs at this offer, believing that they are nothing, they were nobody before, now they are great. He prefers now.
And again, like insisting upon the idea that you already kind of know things. If you're Rost is
Mhm.
another one of the living weapons, and that is a living weapon that is wielded by the champion Kane.
Yes.
So if you're not familiar with Rost, like we have done a couple Kane episodes. So that is some content that you could go to as far as to getting caught up on who this character is. But Rost is also what usually happens with the living weapons, which is you grab the weapon and the weapon eats you alive. Like you
Yeah.
are now, the weapon is now in control of your body. And that's what's happening here since Zahin is talking to Rost and not with Kane.
Yeah. And Zaheen is now immediately prepared to clash. There's like it's like a one thing. Like he puts his hand out. He's like, "Hey, shake my hand, brother. Come back to the the good side." And then they slap the hand away, and that hand turns into a fist. Right? So Zaheen is like, "Okay, fuck it," and they clash, and their battle rattles the heavens as they battle above the actual battle of mortals on the ground. And Zaheen is kind of in disgust at the grin on Roust's face because it's a clear example of how far he has fallen.
Yeah, and this is also setting the stage
Keep saying
or like giving
Roust.
us another hey,
It's
we make the
Rost.
rules here.
It's
It's
Rost.
Roust now.
It's
Like
not Roust.
don't go listen to our
I
Kane
was just looking at
episode.
Owlet.
It's Roust now.
So it's my fault for mixing my chocolate and peanut butter. It's Rost.
Oh, there's chocolate in my peanut butter.
That's just correct.
uh but yeah, like this is giving us another perspective of a subject that we have covered a lot on the show with some of our other different episodes from different champions, which is the Rune Wars. Like
Yeah.
this is where like we have Rise trying to stop the destruction of the world, but we also have the implosion of the Shuriman Empire
Mhm.
because of the Ascended have now lost control of themselves. So this perspective is happening from the very top of a large mountain. So that is the events that's happening at sea level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the battle above the battle. Um, and Ross asks Zaheen why he hasn't joined them to ravage this world that has forgotten its masters. And internally, there's this battle going on in Zaheen where he doesn't deny the natural desire to do so, and we'll get into why later in the story, but he dismisses this thought and continues to fight. And Zaheen yells that we are masters of nothing. We are Darken, and we must all be destroyed, because if Darken cannot be saved, then we must be silenced. And this is a very important ideal because it's kind of the antithesis to what we know Darken to be up to this point, right? We've met a lot of Darkens, which we'll name later down the road, and we'll find out their relationship to Zaheen. But this is the beacon of light in the darkness that is Darken. So that's unique.
This is very unique because I think like the next closest that we get to see as far as with the Darken, not just fully embracing world domination,
Yeah.
um, is of course I would be blanking on their name as soon as I go to say it. I nearly said Nautilus, and it's like I know that's not right. Like,
What did
but
Key describe
Neferi.
his face?
Yeah, but this is Neferi is probably like the next
Yeah.
closest to this,
Yeah.
right? And there's an argument there that it's not the Darken that is keeping Neferi in check, and it's just the fact that it's a pack of dogs.
Yeah.
So it is very refreshing to see that it's like not all the Darken just went completely insane. Like to me, it gives off the vibe of like the ghouls in the Fallout series,
Yeah.
where it's like some ghouls, their brains melt and they turn into full on zombies, while there's other ghouls that are like, nah, I just got radiated really bad, but I'm still trying to find food and money, just like everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. So this takes us to part 2. Like we said, these parts are very thin. It's a short story, by all means, and this is turns out to be a fading memory that Zaheen is having while feeling this emptiness while binded inside a weapon. Right. So this is the weapon version of Zaheen having a memory of the past when they try to save Rost. And he senses this motion coming towards him of a friend, right? An old friend that he keeps mentioning. And he hopes that she doesn't free him because deep down inside himself, there is still the nature of a darken and divine battle rage that dwells there. And he's not sure that if she touches him, that he will have any control over his quote unquote darken instinct.
And that darken instinct being the idea of just like fully consuming your host, right?
Yep.
And there are definitely examples that we've covered that it's not always that way. But it is very interesting to see that like Zaahen like has no interest in leaving his weapon. Right? Like he is totally fine being in like stuck in his little
Yeah.
prison, and like he probably doesn't want to get out of that prison until he comes up with a way to get rid of all the Darkin.
Yeah.
Um, I will say that this is something that also adds some question marks because who is his friend?
Yeah.
Where is he imprisoned? Like, is this a shrine scenario like we get to see with Varus? Or is this something different? We don't know that.
Yeah. And then we wrap up part 2 here where he remembers, the day he ascends. And this is, real quick. We talked about Yunara's story and how the progress of the bio was very disorienting. This is the same way where you have to read it a couple times to know what time frame you're in, whose position you're talking from, like where is it internal or external dialogue. They even try to use fonts to help. It doesn't.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
So if you notice us kind of struggling here, bear with us. But he's remembering now, after we come back to him and in the weapon, he has another memory about the day he ascended and the celebration for those who witnessed it, right? In front of the sundial. We've go listen to our Shurima episodes if you want to hear more about that. We have plenty of them in the past that we talk about the other ascendants and that whole process. He's one of the first. And later he ends up leading others to these same steps in the sacred dais, um, to that moment of ascending. And he even, on their last days of their mortality, their mortality, he promises them that it's worth it and you're worth it. You've earned this and I will be there to guide you further. And, this obviously he struggles with this because this turns out hindsight is 2020. It didn't happen that way.
No way. It didn't. Uh, Now, this part does give us like some information that we've been missing up to this point, which is a timeline
Yes.
as far as for who Zahin was as a mortal, as well as who he is as a Darkin. So we now know that he's one of the earliest ascended, like one of the first ones, because he's talking about going and guiding other people to be ascended. And so that does give us some nice information, and I wonder if that is as far as like if that information affects how he thinks now, like post ascension and post darken, but we don't know that information yet. But at least we have a new piece that we didn't have before.
Yeah. And that wraps up part 2 and takes us to part 3, where Zahen's now remembering, right, them fondly along these lines. I'm just going to read a passage here where he talks about them individually, where it says, quote, I envisioned them as they were, young Rost, his wit and ambition sharp as his scythe. Come on. All right. Zalani, gentle-hearted and weary of war. Varys, the voice of reason, who guided us back to duty. And Sitaka, lion-hearted, the pride of our kind, to whom I pledged my blade. So we've talked about Rost. We've talked about Varys in their episodes. Zolani and Zataka we've referenced in Jack's episode and some other episodes as well, but not directly as champions because they don't exist. But it's funny he's bringing up what we know to be some of the earlier Darkins, right? Like we're even talking pre-Azir, right? Like this is early.
Yeah.
Like this is how old Zaahen is, and why he's kind of putting the quote unquote forsakenness of all of these ascended on his shoulders because he was supposed to be the leader, right? He was supposed to guide what it meant to be an ascended.
And this might play more into like who he was as a mortal or not,
Yeah.
but this isn't we don't have like those answers for us right now. We just have, an old man reminiscing on brighter and simpler days
Yeah.
where it was just like, we just had to be gods and make sure all the mortals didn't fucking die. Um,
And Shurima's now a desert.
oh
We fucked up.
no. We fucked up bad.
Yeah. But one thing he dwells in is, he remembers his love for them. And then that memory kind of fades away, and the footsteps of the friends slowly leaving fade too, which is good. And then once again, he's alone, right? And it's one of these things of it's one of these things of like hope for what can I do to change the future of the current situation. But also he always dips back into this nihilism because he is so alone and there's no one to share this with. It's kind of all on him because everyone else has been sundered, quote unquote.
And this does kind of like lead us into our general discussion, because part of that reason is that he seems very unsure of whether or not he can maintain these thoughts when the time comes that the weapon is possessed by a new host.
Yeah.
Like, so we don't know what Zaahen is like once he is. We don't know what he's like as far as once he goes like full Darken, because we have memories of when he was not imprisoned fighting the other ascended,
Yeah.
but we don't know like they don't even give us like in the bio as far as like full on details of what his weapon's like, right? Like you have to go look elsewhere to see what that is. Like
Yeah.
we don't have those details here,
Or where it's sitting. Right? Like
yeah, we don't know
are you
where
at?
it's sitting because yeah, like that's a key component of specifically Varus.
Mhm.
A key component of his story was the temple that it sits in because of how the temple falls into disarray. Like there that is very integral to the part of his story, but we just know that someone's watching him.
Yeah.
We don't know where that is. We don't know who's watching him. We don't know if who's watching him is important either.
Yeah.
Like it could just be an NPC.
It could, yeah.
And then like one day they grab Zaahen's weapon and then Zaahen just goes full on evil. We don't know.
Yeah, and in this last passage, he doesn't even know as well, right? I'll just read this real quick. It says, "This is my eternity. Time forgets, but I remember every vow, every face, every failure. If I am called again, I will save this world or finish what we begun." And it's like, well, shit.
What do you mean? Like
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's like the coin flip of, hey, I think I can do this, but I don't know.
And like we are definitely dunking on like the disjointedness, but there are definitely pieces here that is clearly being used to build more of a story, and we just don't know where more of that story is, right? Because there's unknown caretaker that
The unknown
like
unknown.
who knows, like so I fear the unknown. So but we have an unknown caretaker, we have an unknown like placement of this weapon, and we also have well, like naming out other Darkin, whether they're in like heroes in the game or not. Like the shout out back to like Zolani and Sataka, which that honestly has like a lot of implications with what happened to them, because we mentioned that we talk about them in the Jack story.
Mhm.
It was my impression that they got they got ganked by the void, but
Yeah.
he still remembers them. So if they were ganked by the void, he wouldn't remember them.
Yep.
Like that's how that works. So there's a chance that there's going to be some more darkened weapons that show up, which is a horrifying thought because don't pick up the cursed weapon. Like you just don't touch it. But we need less of them because if there's more, that's more opportunity for people to touch them.
Yeah.
So that there's like that's a cool little, side bit here. It's like, okay, there's potentially a story that we could grow on there. They and we can tell that the author took a lot of time with the characters that are here because of like the description of Varus pre-ascended. Where he's like, yeah, Varus, he kept us on the path and level-headed and reason. It's like that is not Varus anymore. That is one body with three minds, and like a horrible case of schizophrenia going on. like so it's like, yeah, they definitely took the time to like round out these pieces to fit in some kind of machination that we don't know yet. We don't know what the machination is. And that's also kind of how I felt leaving the Unara story. Like there's a lot of TLC going into these machine parts, but where's the big picture that they all fit in?
Yeah. And it's one I think because we've gone over so many of these authors' story, we trust Issa, right?
Yeah.
So we know that this alone was more of a bigger picture than this just being the one piece. And like we said, we're gonna dig into the other stuff very soon. It's kind of funny how as disjointed this story feels as we've been presenting it has been very disjointed as well because we've been on a little break here. So I think we picked, fate has led us to Zaahen.
To Zaahen.
Um,
Hey, one thing is undeniable, and that is he's definitely a bro. Like I get that
yeah,
vibe. He's the Hezbollah. Like
yeah.
he is there for us. He
If
might
we,
kill us,
yeah,
but he's there for us. If he kills us, it's in our best interest.
exactly. It is interesting, due to the times to look at your fellow partners as, hey, we are all mad. Either we're all stopped or we all turn, our turn tide into the betterment rather than destruction. He does have some bars here, like those lines that we read were good for sure. Um,
Hmm.
and Hetch mentioned something that was, completely on the nose where this does give us another aspect of a story they can go to in like the Arcane series, right? Where when you're done with big bads, if it's Mordekaiser, if it's LeBlanc, whatever we're doing now, after that, you could touch on things like the darkened weapons, right? After you introduce that to the audience, because the cinematic audience doesn't have any concept of darkened weapons yet, right?
Yeah,
Um, but obviously, that will be something that will have to be talked about as we go into Noxus. Even if you look at Mordekaiser, who's kind of a pseudo darken weapon situation, right? It's the same kind of concept, right? Being trapped somewhere and
right. Because
accessed through the bastion. What? Go ahead.
yeah, like it's not a weapon. It
Yeah.
was a suit of armor,
Yeah.
right? Like, but it's overall the same idea. It's just a different magic
Yeah.
because he wasn't ascended, but like it's still the same like imprisoning tool to a degree. But the fact that he wasn't a god when it happened
Mhm.
is why his situation's different. Like, I mean, that man worked really hard to turn himself into a god after the fact,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. He had a plan. He went through with it.
um, I will say though that like this is, I love the idea of having a character like this being introduced because it's the complete antithesis of Aatrox. Like
Yes.
Aatrox is the ultimate darken weapon, the ultimate cursed weapon
Yeah.
idea, right?
Yep.
Like it's you pick up the weapon, you are an unkillable god, but it's eating you alive
Yeah.
and then it will kill you. Whereas Zaahen is like, dude, we all gotta go.
Yeah.
Like we gotta go. uh, we are masters of nothing.
Yeah.
Like it is because I mean, Aatrox is clearly not a master of himself because he can't keep his host alive long enough to do what he wants to do. Like for him, it's a detriment. Like he hates it.
Yeah, it's
So
self-defeating, yeah.
yeah, so like Zaahen is the far other side of the spectrum. So it's great that we now have like the two
Yep.
your two poles, if you will, like North Pole, South Pole. And so that that I think that's also one of the reasons that we keep harping on the fact that we have faith in the stories and the authors
Yeah.
because we know they could put these things together. It's just really weird that you decided to just throw the unassembled pieces at us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why we're having to, act like we're getting our comics from IKEA.
Build your lore, right? Yeah, it's they really leaned heavily into the motion comics for this. And I think if you've ever played League of Legends, you know the client isn't the best for presenting events, and they're planning on updating that very soon with like a massive update they announced recently. But for the Yunara and Zaahen stuff, they leaned into that alongside promoting. I mean, it was a mixture of promoting the worlds that was happening, promoting Welcome to Noxus, and promoting the Spirit Blossom effect. Like they were trying to kill multiple birds with one stone, and unfortunately, it created a confusing delivery mechanism.
Yeah, like
In our opinion,
like instead of killing multiple birds with one stone, so they broke that stone into 1,000 different pieces and launched it out shotgun style. and now we've got all these pieces being like, oh shit.
This crime scene's an absolute mess.
Like? It's all over the place. And we got interns eating burgers on the scene. Like, get them out of here. But hey, the skins look great.
Yeah, skins, they do look good. Like we've mentioned that the designs for both Yunara and Zaahen are dope.
Oh, they're so cool.
So I think
but
yeah.
I mean, like that's one of the fun things about doing a show like this is that it's also an excuse for us to go and read everything, which we were gonna do to begin with. Like now we just have like a reasonable excuse of like, oh no, I can't hang out today. I have to go read these comics for my show, and it's totally a responsibility and not something that I'm just looking forward to doing.
Yeah. So we wrap it up with this because we've been yapping for a little bit, just kind of flesh things out. But for people who get to listen down the road once we cover that stuff, you get a benefit. For people who listen to this immediately when it comes out, we apologize.
But we love you for sticking around for like a 12-minute like, shooting the shit conversation.
Yeah, because not every when we've been doing it for so long, not every episode can be a perfectly packaged, situation. Not everything will be planned out the way we want to be planned out. But that's part of the fun of it, right? It's us being unsure if we even like a story about a character or like the character, like the way it's handled, but giving it a shot, right? That's part of the narrative.
I mean, and hell, it's us being unsure about what number episode this is to begin with.
Exactly. That took us like 5 minutes to figure out, but we figured it out.
We were just here to talk about Zaahen.
Yeah.
Like, screw the rest of the show.
Yeah, the Ryan right now is not as unsure as the Ryan at the beginning of this episode, okay? I'm a different person now. I've grown. But with that, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for letting us shoot the shit as always. And we'll be back soon with another more informed episode.
Yeah, take care, everybody.